How to make 100K in 2024 wholesaling commercial properties. Guys, my name is Rick Ginn, and I've been in the wholesaling space for 21 years under single family homes. And I want to show you a little secret I've learned on how to take your wholesaling business and actually implement it into the commercial real estate market. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button so more people just like you can find the truth on how to get started in wholesaling. So you've done really well wholesaling single family homes in the real estate space, and you're thinking, why don't I go with something just a little bit bigger? And you know what? You're 100% right. I've always told you wholesaling is the single highest best skill set you can learn in real estate. And once you master it on the single family home, you can eventually do multifamily, which a lot of you've done between the duplexes, triplexes, and really small apartments. But did you know you could actually wholesale any piece of real estate? Here's the difference, guys. Just the bigger assets, the bigger commercial buildings, the owners are just a little bit more sophisticated. They're very educated in what the value of the product is. And honestly, you just got to up your game, just like when you got started wholesaling single family houses. So don't let another zero scare you away. In fact, you should get excited. The whole secret to wholesaling commercial properties is find and locate as many opportunities as possible. It's going to be somewhat the same game as you did in wholesaling single family homes. You've got to go out and find the opportunity. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to easily identify simple opportunities in wholesaling commercial real estate so you can take advantage, so you can sell these contracts to cash buyers with just one extra zero on it. So the key here is to find a property. If it's distressed, that's great, but distressed doesn't always mean a good deal in commercial properties. In fact, you're going to see a lot of distressed commercial properties, and sometimes people let them sit around. What you want to really key on is if you can find a distressed property and find a higher and better use for it. Let me give you a few examples that have worked wonderful in my portfolio. One of the easiest commercial properties that you can go after easily and quickly that doesn't require an incredible amount of skill set is go after what we call mixed use buildings. And why do they call them mixed use? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's half commercial, half residential. Usually they put like penthouses on the top and then there's commercial offices below it. Well, on the smaller ones, the ones that are 50 units or less, banks aren't crazy about financing these deals. In fact, they tend to shy away from them because they feel like commercial owners are much more riskier than private individual owners. And when you mix the two, financials can get stressed. Commercial owners aren't known for putting a ton of money in their properties. And then you have the collision with residential owners in the penthouses. Guys, these buildings were built a long time ago and they are under attack. Not only most of them cannot get typical FHA financing, typical conventional financing, and so most of them are traded by cash. Why is that so important? Because it creates an incredible opportunity for you. I have bought multiple buildings where they were mixed use, half commercial, half residential. And what happens is one person owned 3 or 4 of those units and they moved out and he needed to sell. He sold on owner financing and that gave an invitation to buy the rest of the building. Once you buy the rest of the building, you can take it higher, better use. Now, the really cool part is the property I was looking at was actually on the water. And honestly, the monthly fees were pretty high because the insurance was wrapped into it. But commercial businesses didn't want to pay for it. But guess what? With the explosion of real estate since 2021, those commercial units are ripe and ready to turn over to residential and get the highest and best use for the money. In fact, honestly, the conversion was very, very cost effective for each one of them. And it actually tripled the value of the building. Guys, you can do this all day long. I like mixed use because banks don't like them. And it usually requires owner financing. If you can go out and find properties like this, they're not all going to be distressed. But if you find it distressed and someone's selling 1 or 2 of the units, that is prime for you to go in there and take full advantage of it. I prefer you buy the entire building because you have a much better advantage towards putting it to the higher and better use. But guys, the name of the game is to find as many opportunities as possible. I loved mixed use buildings because usually one wins over the other. Either they all need to turn residential or they all need to turn commercial. Very rarely does a mixed use work out for the long run of what the developer decided to do in the beginning. So go and find the highest best use for these buildings. What you also want to look at in these buildings are the amenities. Here's a couple ideas. On a mixed-use building, if it has a full commercial elevator and it's ADA compliant and they have ramps and everything else, these are great for a higher and better use. You could turn them into assisted living facilities. They make 10 times return a regular single-family house or a condo does. That is a wonderful use on them. Some other ideas you could do with it. So look at the amenities, look at the pools, look at the elevators, see if they have a clubhouse, see if there's a place they can host parties, see if there's a common room areas. And from that, you can get your ideas for higher and better use. Now, sometimes you guys get rooming houses, facilities. You can get old churches. By the way, churches can be repurposed if they're not too church-like, if they're more building type. And those wind up making wonderful halfway houses. They can also be training facilities for corporations, for employees. Maybe they want to house some employees for training. Guys, I'm always looking for a higher and better use. Mixed use is one of the best secrets I've found because you can pretty much do anything you want with them. And if it has a full ADA compliant elevator in it, you can do, as I said, assisted living facilities. You can do different levels of them. You can do halfway houses. You can do training facilities. You can do corporate retreats. The sky is endless. Now, the other one is you could also do short-term rentals, but I'm not a big fan of the short-term rentals because they don't always work. Now, if you can take a mixed-use building that is near the water or a destination spot next to a ski mountain or a beautiful scenic lake or just a beautiful mountain, then maybe a short-term rental is the highest and best use for that property. So what I want you to do is identify, go find mixed use because there's so much more you can do with them. Plus, you can tie in the plumbing, you can tie in the electrical, the HVAC systems. There's so many things you can do to take it to its highest and best use. Most of these properties are struggling because the initial idea was a great idea, but times and economic conditions changes. And as the real estate market environment has changed, especially if you're in an older area, say like South Florida, like Dade and Broward County, we have a lot of older mixed use buildings, and these things are prime for repurposing. So make sure you check those out. Now, what do you need to take down one of these mixed use deals? It's pretty simple. You can just use a regular commercial real estate contract. They're not much different than a single family home. Just to understand, if you can work directly with the owner, it's better, but a lot of times you still have to go through the broker, and the brokers only care about one thing: do you have the money to buy it? So if you're going to go out and pitch these properties, try to develop a relationship with the owner. You might have to develop with the broker or the agent, and understanding they're going to look for a significant deposit down. How much? Usually around 2 to 5% of the purchase price. Now, don't panic yet, because a lot of times you do have to put this money up to even get into this game. What I want you to do is get a financial partner, someone that can back you up. Remember, the money is only going into escrow. You're going to have an inspection period. For these types of projects, in a perfect world, I try to get 90 days. I usually wind up around 45 to 60. And unless you really know what you're doing, don't do it less than 30 days. 30 days is not a long time. This is the point where you actually go to the city and the county and you find out if you could actually do what you think that is the highest and best use. And you have to get it in writing, because if you can't prove your proof of concept of the higher and better use for the building, then there's no point in staying in that contract. So once you get it under contract, probably between 45 and 90 days, that's your inspection period. You have to go do your due diligence. It is a lot of work. You're probably gonna have to spend some money. You might have to get some specialists to do inspections. But guys, if you wanna find a property to take it to a higher and better use, you have to use your brain power. And you have to find properties that are dated, that are not working, that owners are frustrated in. And you have to have the concept. Now, I don't give the new owner the concept. I just put it under contract and I figure out what the building is going to allow me to do. And how do I do that? I do a thorough due diligence. If I have to pay people to help me, I do it. But you got to get the facts. Guys, a lot of these things are millions of dollars. You have to be accurate. If you can take these properties to the higher and better use, honestly, you can easily assign these contracts once you have it under contract and you show them the proof of concept by doing your due diligence. So the whole idea of doing commercial wholesaling is going out and finding a problem, which you guys already know how to do that. We're just going to switch over to commercial mixed use buildings. And the next thing is coming up with a solution for that problem. That's the point where you're going to put it under contract and you're going to go do your due diligence and prove the higher and better use concept. If you do that, you can easily make $100K per deal minimum, and you can do these deals multiple times a month. I've done them. You can do them. You have the skill sets. It's called wholesaling. Translates to the commercial market. Go ahead. It's just a more advanced conversation. You have the confidence. Go out there, solve problems, create solutions, and make a ton of money in wholesaling commercial real estate. Guys, let me know in the comments, are you going to wholesale commercial real estate just like I do? And if so, tell me the types of properties you're going to do. And as usual, if you got value from this video, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button so more people can find out how to get started in wholesaling real estate. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video.